So, welcome to our Facebook Live presentation. I'm Melanie Krause. I'm the winemaker for Cinder, and today I'm going to be talking about cooking your wine, as in making mulled wine. It's something that I love doing, and it's so fun to make it homemade. It fills your winery, in this case, or your home with such gorgeous aromas. I wish I could put aromas through Facebook Live because it smells amazing in here. You can see my pot going. Okay, so to begin, mulled wine is something that's really big, especially in the German Christmas markets. You can buy it like this, in this format, at some of the wine shops, like the Co-op will have this pre-made, but as with anything homemade, fresh ingredients, it's so much more delicious if you make it yourself. So I have a recipe made for you, a 2-bottle recipe using 2 bottles of Laissez-Faire Red, and you can find the link. So let's see, I think first we'll just talk a little bit about the shopping. So shopping for your mulled wine will take you way more time than actually making the mulled wine, because you really ideally need to use whole spices. That way, I've made it with ground spices when I was feeling really lazy and didn't want to go out, but it's a lot grittier experience. If you do that, make sure you put it through the tightest sieve you can find at home. Otherwise, you're going to have really gritty wine, right? But we've gone the whole distance here and bought amazing whole spices. So we found most of these spices at the Indian Foods shop on Fairview if you're local to Boise. Otherwise, try your local ethnic markets. And a few of the spices we picked up at Winco. Go to the Mexican food aisle for their whole spice packages for those, but you'll probably have to go to at least 2 stores to find all of these. If by chance this holiday season you're feeling lazy and you want it pre-made, we are doing bundles for sale with 2 bottles of Laissez-Faire Red and the spice package all put together for you along with the recipe. So come in for that if you need a really quick gift, or you're just on your way home driving down Shannon and like, hey, I feel like mulled wine tonight. Okay, so talking through the spices. Not all of these are absolutely necessary, but if you have the time to find them or you buy our spice package, they all contribute really awesome flavors. So we have here green cardamom, which also is going to be part of the garnish. I have whole anise, which is the trickiest one to find, I think. Because it's so difficult to find, when I'm mulling my spices, I just use the broken up chunks and I save the really pretty pieces just for the garnish. I have black pepper. Black pepper is going to add just a little bit of kick to the finish. You know, when you're drinking spiced chai and it's got just a tiny touch of heat, that's from black pepper. So same goes for mulled wine. It just makes it more fun. Allspice, one of my favorite spices. I often refer to allspice when I'm talking about the oak barrels that we age wine in, because a lot of them impart kind of an allspice aroma to the wine. Then cinnamon. This is cinnamon bark. It's just chunks, and I've got that here because when you're making a big batch of it, it's way cheaper to use the bark, but I do have the cinnamon sticks here for the garnish because it's adorable to have that as garnish, but I'll use the less expensive bark for the actual mulling. And then we also have clove. Now, resist the temptation with the clove to throw in extras. It's so potent. You can really easily overwhelm your mulled wine with that. And then citrus is an essential ingredient to mulled wine, and you can see I had a little too much fun shopping at Whole Foods for citrus. I use this show as my excuse to buy all this crazy citrus that they always have and I never buy, like this Buddha's hand. I'm not exactly sure what to do with it, but I'm experimenting with it for various garnishes. So what the heck? There's also this weird lime and some sort of Japanese lemon whose names I don't remember. I've got some pomegranate too because I end up eating most of the garnishes, and so I thought pomegranate would be fun to throw in. And cranberries. Each one of my cups has three or four cranberries as garnish just because they look so incredibly festive. And I end up eating those too. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate the mulled wine. I'm going to demonstrate doing it. And also just about the recipe, I've written it for 2 bottles. And that is for you and your spouse at home. That's the size. That sounds like a lot, but there is evaporation that happens, as you can see, and also your spices and your orange peel and stuff are going to absorb some of the wine. So whenever I make a mulled wine and I make it with just one bottle, I'm disappointed when I can't pour myself a second glass of the mulled wine. So that's why I recommend the 2-bottle size. And one thing about if you're entertaining or when you entertain again someday, here's my recommendation for how to set yourself up for success when you're hosting. I recommend you mull the wine ahead of time. You could even do that a day or two beforehand and then refrigerate it. And then as your guests are coming, you reheat it. But the important thing is that after you've mulled it to the right amount of spiciness, which is probably going to be after about a half an hour of boiling or light simmers, maybe more accurate, you want to remove the wine from the spice. So put it through a sieve so that the spices are out of your wine, because you will eventually get to be too spicy if you leave them in. So if you have it pre-made, mulled, then you put it into your crock pot or Instapot or just on your stove top, and you have your glasses pre-garnished. Like, see, in this glass I've got all the garnish already in here. So I have fun citrus bits, I've got a cinnamon stick, 3 of the cranberries, and I have the whole cardamom and the whole anise already in here. And the reason I'm not just transferring it over is that the spices that you mulled with will most likely sink and you won't get that attractive presentation. So you do need to put fresh spices into your mug in order for the presentation to be optimal. So what I would do if I was hosting was I would have my jug, no spices in it, and then would have all my mugs set up for my guests so that they can just come along and pour in for themselves, and you get all the beautiful presentation, and they didn't have to, you don't have to sit there and watch over your mulled spices and make sure that they're not getting too rich, that sort of thing. So, yep, I've already had some evaporation going, so I don't have that much. I don't have a very deep amount in there, but there's the presentation. I don't know if you guys can see that really well, but it's super adorable. Okay, so making the mulled wine is actually pretty simple after you've done all the shopping. The citrus is really important, so the first thing I do is make my citrus garnishes, like the curls or the slices, and then with the leftover citrus, I'm going to squeeze it in. As much orange as you have, like up to a whole orange will be fine. It'll taste totally delicious. And I even toss some of the garnish in or the whole peel in because I want some of the zest flavor in there. In fact, when I'm doing my garnishes, I hold it over the pot so that all of that oil, as it spurts off, lands in my mulled wine. I don't want to waste that. And after you've got all your orange put in, then put in a whole lemon. I've already put it in here, so I'm not going to show you. You guys know how to squeeze a lemon. Don't worry about the seeds because hopefully you're going to have put this through a sieve or whatever, but you can kind of avoid them as you dish it out. And then your spices, which really is sort of like a tiny handful of each, but on my recipe I have really specific ones. 4 green cardamom pods, 10 cloves, definitely don't overdo this one. A little bit, the equivalent of 2 sticks of cinnamon, which, I've got the bark here, so I have to kind of eyeball it. I think I've got about 10 cloves of 6 allspice berries, I say, which is about like that. About 10 peppercorns, and my little chunks of anise in there. So I've got citrus in, I've got the spices in. It's going to take about 15 minutes of, if you can do it, just below a simmer, so warm but not boiling off. The boiling is you're gonna lose some of your wine, you're gonna lose some of your alcohol. So some people like to add brandy. I've got my really nice brandy jar here. So add brandy if you want. I don't have it in my recipe, I don't think, because I don't personally add brandy. I really love drinking mulled wine, and I don't want to be asleep by 7 o'clock, so I just leave it out. And if it gets a little low in alcohol from the boiling, so much the better for me. And then the very last thing you want to add is your sweetener. I've chosen molasses because I love the richness that molasses adds to the wine. But you don't have to do molasses. You can do any sweetener, really. Honey, sugar. Kaya suggested maple syrup, which I think would be awesome. I haven't tried that. And so when you add your molasses, just make sure that you taste it for your preference, because, you know, people are pretty different about how sweet they like stuff. But I've got the recipe written as a fairly low sugar recipe, so you may want to add a little bit more. If you're doing brandy, that's gonna change, so definitely maybe add half your molasses, taste it, then add the other half, see how you like it. Okay, so I think we have all the ingredients in there, and Kaya's got some questions for me. So the question is, how do you get that perfect orange garnish? Well, I'm not a bartender, so I might look awkward doing this. I've never bartended, and I've never been a professional chef either, but just a home cook. So this is how I do it. I have this cool bar tool. I don't know what it's called, maybe just bar tool, but it's got a little claw finger on it, and you can use it to make a nice little curl. So I like to hold this over because all that orange zest is just so yummy. So once I've got a nice long string of it, then you can curl it around your finger like that. And you gotta hold it and kind of crunch it down a little bit to get it to coil, and then you can put it on your glass. But it looks super adorable. Oh yeah, so here's a good question. Have you ever mulled cider? Well, I think the whole recipe could be done with just apple juice, and especially if you have kiddos that, like mine, get jealous when they see all of the cool drinks the adults are drinking, and then they ask like, hey, is there alcohol in there? And then they're mad at me. So I would definitely say you could use all of this stuff. You could have a second pot with apple juice and make an amazing mulled cider. So let's see. We have a few announcements, like the really exciting one is the raffle. So the Boys and Girls Club is one of our charities that we support here at Cinder, and we have a toy drive going on right now through December 14th. If you bring an unwrapped toy appropriate for age 5 to 18, you'll get a free glass of wine. So check that out. And we're doing a raffle. We have 3 amazing prizes. We're giving one out tonight, and one next week, and one the following week during these Facebook Live presentations. Kaya has the prize for tonight to show you. It's a Magnum of Malbec plus 4 of the logoed glasses. Thank you, Kaya. And all the proceeds are going to the Boys and Girls Club. So far we've already raised $1,500. Thank you guys so much for buying raffle tickets. So here's our giant glass with the raffle tickets. Okay, I'm just hoping that whoever's name it is, I can pronounce. The winner is Bruce Van Dusen. Yay! So Bruce, you can come down to the winery anytime in December and pick up your prize. We'll have it waiting for you, that beautiful Magnum. Thank you so much for supporting the Boys and Girls Club. And I think that's all I have for my presentation. No more questions, ladies? Okay, well, oh, here comes one. Oh, the bundle. Okay, so just a reminder, if you don't feel like doing all of that shopping, but you do want to make mulled wine, or you want to give it as a beautiful Christmas gift, we're doing the bundle, 2 bottles of laissez-faire, the spice package. All you have to provide